I came home to six screaming children tearing apart my living room. My mother-in-law was on my couch, feet up, smiling. My husband stood in the kitchen with his arms crossed. "It's just for the weekend," he said. "It's family." But I'd already seen the emails. This wasn't a visit. This was an invasion. And they'd planned it for weeks. My coffee table was broken. There was juice on the carpet. A toddler was coloring my wall with permanent marker. And my mother-in-law just watched. She didn't stop him. She handed him the marker. I know, because I caught it on camera. My husband thought I'd just give in, that I'd be too tired, too outnumbered to fight back. He was wrong. Where are you watching from and what time is it there? Hit that like button if you've ever been ambushed by your in-laws, and subscribe, because what happens next is going to shock you. Let me back up, because what my mother-in-law didn't know is that I document everything. My husband and I have two young kids, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. We live in a modest 2-bedroom house, small yard, 1 bathroom. For years, my mother-in-law pushed every boundary we set. She'd show up unannounced, rearrange our nursery while we were at work, criticize the way I cooked, the way I dressed our kids, the toys I bought. My husband always made excuses. "She's my mom. She means well. She's just trying to help." But help doesn't feel like an ambush. 3 months ago, after she let herself in with a spare key we didn't know she had, we made an agreement. A written agreement. No overnight guests without both of us saying yes. In writing, on the shared calendar. We both signed it. I laminated it. I put it on the fridge. I'm a project manager. I build timelines. I track dependencies. I keep spreadsheets for everything. Our budget, our kids' milestones, even our arguments. My coworkers joke that I could run a legal case in my sleep. They have no idea how right they are. I back up every text. I save every email. I screenshot everything that feels off. It's not paranoia. It's pattern recognition. And my mother-in-law has a very clear pattern. After we set that boundary, things were quiet. Peaceful, even. I thought we'd finally won. Then 2 weeks ago, she called. I was at work when it happened. My mother-in-law called my husband. Not me, just him. She needed help, she said. Her sister was in a bind and couldn't watch her 4 kids for the weekend. Could they stay with us? My husband said yes. On the spot. Didn't text me, didn't check the calendar, just agreed. I found out that evening when I checked my phone. A text from my mother-in-law. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. The kids are so excited for their sleepover." 6 kids in our 2-bedroom house for a long weekend. I walked into the kitchen. My husband was making dinner like nothing was wrong. "You agreed to this?" He didn't even look up. "Mom needed help. Sarah's in a bind. It's one weekend." We have a rule. We have an agreement. I can't say no to my mother. She'll think I don't care about family. "So you said yes without asking me." He finally turned around. "You're overreacting. They're just kids. It's 3 days." I stood there, shaking. This is going to end badly. He laughed. Actually laughed. "You'll be fine. You worry too much." I told him one more time, "If you let her come, you're going to regret it." He shrugged and went back to his dinner. He had no idea how badly. They arrived Friday at noon. My mother-in-law, her oversized suitcase, and 6 children under the age of 8. The chaos was immediate. Kids jumping on the couch, screaming, fighting over toys. One of them knocked over a lamp in the first 10 minutes. It shattered. My mother-in-law sat down and pulled out her phone, didn't apologize, didn't help clean up, just watched. By that evening, the house was destroyed. Juice stains on the carpet, crayon on the walls. Our bathroom flooded because someone stuffed toys down the toilet. I tried to set boundaries. "Hey, we don't jump on furniture in this house." My mother-in-law cut me off. "They're just playing. Let them be kids." She said it loud enough for all of them to hear. The kids ignored me after that. My husband, he hid in the garage, taking work calls that I'm pretty sure didn't exist. By Saturday night, I was done. I locked myself in the bedroom. I sat on the floor. I felt completely alone in my own home. And then I saw it. My husband's iPad was on the nightstand, unlocked, a text thread with his mother. I opened it, and everything made sense. The text thread went back 2 weeks, April 3rd, before my mother-in-law ever called. She wrote, "I've been thinking, if this weekend goes well, we should talk about me moving into your spare room. I can help with the kids. You know how much easier it would be." My husband's reply came 3 hours later. "I don't know, Mom. She's not going to go for that." "Then don't tell her yet. Let me come for a visit first. Once I'm there and she sees how helpful I am, she'll come around. Trust me." I scrolled further. Another message from her. "Your father never let me do anything until I just started doing it. Then he got used to it. Women like her need to be worn down." My husband replied with a thumbs up emoji. I took a screenshot, then another, then another. I backed them up to 3 different cloud accounts. This wasn't about helping his sister. His sister wasn't even in a bind. This was a test run. A trial period for my mother-in-law to move in permanently. And my husband was in on it. He'd lied to me, ambushed me, conspired with her behind my back. I sat there on the bedroom floor, shaking. But I wasn't crying. I was planning. Sunday morning, I confronted him. I walked into the kitchen and put the iPad on the counter. "We need to talk." He saw the screen. His face went pale. "You went through my messages? You planned this with her. For weeks. It's not what it looks like." "Really? Because it looks like you conspired with your mother to move her into our house without asking me." He ran his hand through his hair. "She didn't mean it like that. She's struggling right now, okay? I was trying to help." "By lying to me?" My mother-in-law walked in. She must have been listening from the hallway. "I don't appreciate being talked about like this in my son's home." I turned to her. "This is my home. My name is on the deed." She smiled. It was cold. "And my son lives here, and my grandchildren live here. Do you know what grandparents' rights are?" My husband said nothing. She kept going. "I've already talked to a lawyer. If you try to keep me from my grandkids, I'll file for visitation. And if you're this hostile, I'll call CPS. I'll tell them you're unstable." My husband looked at the floor. I waited for him to defend me. He didn't say a word. She turned and walked out, triumphant. My husband finally spoke. "Can we just talk about this after she leaves?" I looked at him. "She's not leaving, is she?" He didn't answer. That's when I knew. I was on my own. I went back to the bedroom. I pulled up the security camera app on my phone. We have a doorbell cam and a nanny cam in the living room that we installed when the kids were babies. My mother-in-law didn't know about the second one. I scrolled back through the footage. Saturday morning, 9:47. My mother-in-law is in the living room with the kids. One of the toddlers picks up a permanent marker from the craft bin. She sees him, looks right at him, and hands him a second marker. Then she steps back, crosses her arms, and watches him scribble all over the wall. She's smiling. I kept scrolling. Audio from the kitchen. Saturday afternoon. My mother-in-law's voice. "Once she's tired enough, she'll give in. That's how I got your father to agree to everything. You just have to be consistent. Wear her down." My husband's voice, quieter. "I don't know, Mom. Trust me, by Monday she'll be begging for help, and then we talk about me staying." I saved every file. I backed them up. Then I sent a text to my husband's sister, the one who was supposedly in a bind. "Hey, hope you're doing okay this weekend. Let me know if you need anything." She replied in under a minute. "I'm great, on vacation in Cabo. Thanks for asking." My mother-in-law had lied about everything. I needed to understand why. Why now? Why this hard push? I went into the guest bathroom. My mother-in-law's purse was on the counter. I opened it. I know, I'm not proud, but I was past caring about privacy. Inside was a folded piece of paper.
an eviction notice, dated March 30th, 2 weeks before she called my husband. Balance due, $2,400. She'd been kicked out of her apartment. She had nowhere to go. I checked my husband's phone next. His banking app was still logged in. I scrolled through recent transactions. April 2nd, the day after the eviction notice. A transfer to his mother, $1,200. Memo, rent help. He knew. He'd known she was getting evicted, and he'd been helping her behind my back. That's why he agreed so fast. That's why she pushed so hard. She wasn't visiting, she wasn't helping, she was moving in, and he'd been setting it up for weeks, hoping I'd be too overwhelmed to fight back. This was never about family. It was about desperation and control. She needed a place to live, he felt guilty, and I was the obstacle. I sat there, staring at the eviction notice, and I knew exactly what I had to do. Monday morning, I took the day off work. I called a family law attorney, got a consultation that afternoon. I brought everything: the texts, the security footage, the eviction notice, photos of the damage. The attorney listened. Then she looked up. "You're the homeowner." "Yes, my name is on the deed, sole owner. I bought it before we got married." She nodded. "Then you have every right to remove her. This is trespassing the moment you withdraw consent." "What about grandparents' rights?" "In this state, she'd need to prove an existing relationship and parental unfitness. You have 2 functional parents in the home. She has no case." I signed a retainer agreement on the spot. Then I called a locksmith. He met me at the house an hour later. My mother-in-law and my husband had taken all the kids to the park. I had 2 hours. The locks were changed in 40 minutes. I packed my mother-in-law's things, put them in boxes by the front door. I printed a formal trespass notice, signed it, dated it.
Then I logged into our joint bank account. I transferred my half into my individual account. Every dollar I'd contributed. Legal. Documented. Clean. I sat down on the couch. The house was finally quiet. And I waited. When they came home, the key didn't work. I heard them on the porch. My husband's key sliding into the lock, turning. Nothing. Confused voices, then pounding. "Open the door!" That was my mother-in-law. I walked to the door, didn't open it. I spoke through the wood. "I'm not letting you in. This is my son's house. This is my house. My name is on the deed. You're trespassing." More pounding. My husband's voice now. "Babe, come on, let's just talk." I slid the trespass notice under the door. "You're served. If you don't leave, I'm calling the police." My mother-in-law screamed. "Call them. I have rights. I'll tell them you're keeping me from my grandchildren." "Go ahead." I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. She went quiet. The operator answered. 911, what's your emergency?" "I have someone trespassing on my property. I've asked her to leave. She's refusing." I gave my address. The officer arrived 12 minutes later. I opened the door, stepped onto the porch. My mother-in-law was red-faced, shaking. My husband looked lost. The officer looked at me. "You're the homeowner?" "Yes." I handed him a folder. Inside, a copy of my deed, the signed trespass notice, printed screenshots of the text messages, stills from the security footage, the eviction notice, photos of the damage to my home. He flipped through it. Then he turned to my mother-in-law. "Ma'am, do you live here?" "My son." "Is your name on the lease or the deed?" She went silent. "You need to leave now. If you come back, you'll be arrested." She looked at my husband. "Are you going to let her do this?" He opened his mouth, closed it. I pulled out my phone, played the audio clip. "Once she's tired enough, she'll give in. That's how I got your father to agree to everything." His face fell. The officer escorted her to her car. She left. My husband stood there. "Can we talk?" Through my attorney. I closed the door. The next morning, I filed for a restraining order. The judge reviewed my evidence. Temporary order granted. 100 yards, supervised visitation only. My mother-in-law was out. But I wasn't done yet. My mother-in-law moved in with my husband's sister, the one who'd been in a bind.
She lasted 3 weeks before she started complaining about the rules. Visitation was set at twice a month, supervised, at a neutral location. She shows up. She's polite, but the power's gone. My husband, he spent the first 2 nights on a friend's couch. Then he came back and begged. I let him in, for the sake of our kids. But he sleeps in the guest room now. I told him my conditions. Marriage counseling, every week, non-negotiable. Full financial transparency, joint accounts closed, separate finances until trust is rebuilt. And if he ever lies to me again, I'm filing for divorce. He agreed. We're 4 months into therapy now. It's slow, it's hard, but he's finally starting to understand what he did. The repairs to the house cost $3,200. I took my mother-in-law to small claims court. I brought the receipts, the photos, the footage. The judge awarded me the full amount. She's paying it off at $100 a month. My husband paid half as part of our agreement in counseling. The house is quiet now. My kids are calmer, happier. We repainted the wall together, turned it into an art project. They don't ask about grandma much anymore. People ask if I regret it. I don't. I regret that it had to happen. I regret that my husband put me in that position, but I don't regret protecting my home. I don't regret setting boundaries, and I don't regret keeping receipts. Boundaries without consequences are just suggestions. I learned that the hard way, but I learned it. So here's my question for you. Would you have changed the locks, or would you have tried to work it out first? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story reminded you that you're not crazy for keeping receipts, hit that subscribe button. You're not paranoid. You're prepared. And sometimes that's what saves you. I still document everything. Every text, every email, every conversation that feels off. And I sleep better because of it. My home is mine again, and no one's taking that from me. One last thing. This story is a fictionalized dramatization. It's not legal or financial advice. If you're dealing with something similar, talk to a licensed attorney in your area. But know this, you're allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to say no, and you're allowed to lock the door. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.